Hello and welcome back to another episode of Entertainment Roadmap. Today we're here with Emmy and Ethan to discuss their very exciting Spider-Man film, The Outstanding Spider-Man. Hi, how are you guys today?
Hi, Noah. Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, of course. I also have the pleasure of working on this Spider-Man film, so this is very exciting.
Yeah, so there's a lot of exciting things going on, and we're really happy to have Emmy and Ethan here today. So, as someone who is a little bit separate from this film, I can't wait to learn more about it. But I would like to start with just knowing, like, if you guys could introduce yourself and your roles, as well as a brief synopsis of the film.
Yeah, okay. So I'm Emmy. I'm directing, producing, and I co-wrote this project. And I'm also acting in the role of Mary Jane Watson, which is pretty exciting.
I'm Ethan. I'm a producer as well.
Cool. Okay. So big roles in this movie. We're so excited to hear more about it. And I just have to ask, since you're acting, Emmy, have you always been an actor? Has it always been more behind the camera and then you're taking the chance here?
So yeah, I started in theater. That was where I really got into storytelling. I did a lot of plays as a kid in theater classes and workshops, but my home was always the cinema. So going to movie theaters. And I found that if I saw a movie that impacted me, I'd leave with a new personality, new style, new wardrobe, new way of talking and interacting with things. And that made me want to study film and kind of start working on the filmmaking aspect and hoping to do that for others.
Oh, cool. That's really cool. But I can relate to the whole like when you see something and it like changes who you are. I
Yeah.
looked at it that way, but that's really deep actually. Okay, cool. I like that.
Yeah, and just for the synopsis of the film, if you could briefly explain.
Yeah, so essentially it's a grounded street level Spider-Man origin story that focuses on Peter's life and how he struggles to balance this new set of powers that he gets.
Yeah, that's a good hook for people, I think. I know the story, but I'm excited still.
Yeah.
So can you walk us through the development of this project? Like how did it start? How'd you get the idea? And how did you guys meet?
So we actually met online, very fortunately, when I was posting about the project and the whole like digital world on social media has really put me into contact with a lot of great people interested in the project. But the project actually started with our lead actor's Jonathan's birthday. A year ago, we were having a birthday party and we went to go see the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. And before it, we were talking about Spider-Verse that came out that summer, that just completely stunned us. And we were so obsessed with it. And we were like, it would be incredible to make something of that level or try to make something that paid tribute to something that was so inspiring to us. So we were geeking out, talking about the film. And then one of us was like, wouldn't it be funny to make like a 5 minute Spider-Man short film? And then it kind of just kicked off from there.
Did you like write a 5 minute version and then like decided to expand it, or did you start writing and then we're like, no, this needs to be bigger?
So the first thing we actually ended up writing was a Christmas special that I don't know if you know this
No, I
actually.
didn't.
Like I don't think anyone does. It's a 10-minute short film. It's a
Hmm.
Spider-Man Christmas special where Spider-Man he's like a dad, like he's established as a hero, but he's still fighting street level. He's fights Shocker and he's late to a Christmas Eve celebration at his house with Aunt May, and MJ is left in the house alone, like what's going on, and they have an
Hmm.
argument. But it's like a sweet little Christmas special. And we were gonna do that as like a screen test at the time. And then we kept meeting about this idea, this concept, and then it kind of became like a 52 plot beat film where we had a bunch of cameos, bunch of characters. It became a feature and we became really committed to making that happen. So the Christmas thing was just thrown out the window.
If you still have that script, that'd be really fun to see. I mean, like to compare
Yeah.
even after, or do a little special after this movie,
Yeah, we
which could
were
be exciting.
thinking maybe like a year or so after the film releases, making it
Hmm.
because it's a 10-minute project and it takes place a few years after
Yeah.
our film. Like Mary Jane and Spider-Man have been together for
Hmm.
a while in it. So it's a different look at where the characters are at in their lives.
I think that'd be really interesting to see.
Yeah.
It's definitely funny.
Yeah.
Or like, or like Marvel can pick it up and buy it. And
Yeah.
it's a really good idea.
Yeah. But only if Jonathan plays. Only if
We could
Jonathan
we
is
could do a
Spider-Man.
multiverse thing and it's Tom
Yeah.
Holland.
Tom Holland
Yeah.
out.
Ooh.
Jonathan in.
Yeah.
I could never do that to my man. Okay. So one thing that really stood out to me was the production company, like both of yours. So the film is being produced by Emmy's production company, Something Great Films, alongside Ethan's Torrential Rain Films. Can you tell us a bit more about starting those and what you hope to do with these companies?
You go.
Sure. So, Torrential Rain Films, I started a long while ago when I decided to like make films. The name is derived from the first thing I ever wrote for myself. It wasn't actually a script, but more of a short story. Um, and I just I fell in love with the idea behind it and the kind of emotions that I wanted to portray from there. And then realized that what I want from film is to make the same thing, or to have that same kind of feel to it. And so what it's become up until now is essentially just a kind of production company that can be dissociated from myself, in a way, be something a little bit bigger. That way, anything I make, or produce alongside someone else, it's basically just like I know that that's me, if that makes sense. And then I do a lot of like videography, photography under the same company.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I think it's cool how you said kind of like having it be your work, but under like a bigger name or like
Mhm.
kind of a double identity situation, because that's how I felt about Something Great Films. I started it just to kind of have a platform where I can help produce other people's projects alongside my own and kind of have this like umbrella like organization that has like a collection of films that feel like I connect with them personally and hope that others do too.
That's really good. I have to ask, okay, just because I'm a One Direction fan, does something great come from their song by any chance?
Wait, okay, I've actually been listening to that song like on a list recently. It does not come from that. I wish it did because I love One Direction. When I was in high school and was in the application process for CEGEP for film, a film program, my mom was like, "Oh, you would be such a great producer. What would your company be made?" And then I was being a smartass and I said, "I don't know, something great." And
Oh, I like
that,
it. Cute
that's
enough.
where that's it just stuck.
I
Yeah,
like that origin story.
me too. I like it better than if you just would have said, "Hey, One Direction song, let's name it after."
That's a great, and they mentioned like scripts in that song, so it
Right.
could.
Mhm.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so, we kind of mentioned before that there are so many versions of Spider-Man, but how is your version of Spider-Man different from the others that already exist?
We've seen a lot of Peter Parker, right? And I will acknowledge we've seen a lot of origin stories. But I think something about the origin stories that the fans that I've spoken to, and especially the lovers of the comics, are interested in seeing is really a slower look into his development to becoming that iconic hero that we all know and love. And our film really focuses on Peter rather than Spider-Man and the conflicts in his life, how he grapples with grief, coming of age. So it's more of a grounded kind of like I always say A24 meets Spider-Man in a sense, like an indie coming of age film like Perks Being a Wallflower kind of
Mhm.
vibes on Peter's life and really expanding the characters in his life beyond the tropes.
Mhm.
So most of the Spider-Man adaptations, his like journey of like being a regular nerdy kid is like 20 minutes and then he gets bitten by the spider. Uncle Ben dies. He solves that in like 2 seconds by attacking the guy. And then a bigger villain shows up, like Doc Ock or the Green Goblin. But we really wanted to focus on that main part and really, really draw it out and take time to get comfortable with the characters and understand that how that like such crucial moment can change someone's life.
Mhm. I like that you said that you said like the A24 like indie movie, meets Spider-Man, because I think a lot of the other Spider-Man films feel like they're so built around the fact that he's Spider-Man, but like this film feels like it's just a regular coming of age story about like a teenager, and he just happens to become Spider-Man at some point in the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely less based on explosions
Yeah.
and flying around and more on how the struggles that Peter faces as Spider-Man really do translate to issues that so many young people face growing up, like grappling your identity, who you want to be versus with who you are, that kind of stuff. And that's what we're aiming to kind of convey.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that.
Me too. I think that's really cool. And what was it like getting to dive into this universe when writing the script? And do you have a favorite character to write for, Emmy?
So it was intimidating. Like I love Spider-Man and I know so many people care about the character too. And I think you probably feel this too, that there's this like weight of this needs to make people happy. Because that's the purpose of this. So there was a lot of research to do and it was intimidating, but I loved it. I thought it was really fun. Looking, oh my God.
Going to yeah, she's here.
Oh, he's adorable.
So cute.
Oh my God.
Um, like getting to really like explore like the different depictions of Spider-Man. So there's the comics, the films, the cartoons, the video games. Lots of video essays, kind of deconstructing the character and the evolution of him was really great. Um, my favorite character to write for is Harry Osborn. Because I think his character is so crucial in Peter's life, but also Spider-Man's life in the future, because they normally have some pretty tragic interactions. And I think that really expanding on that character's psychology has just made the story a lot stronger. He's also a funny character.
I think that's really cool because like most people you would think they'd say like, oh, I really liked writing for MJ or like Peter Parker because they're like your main story. But hearing that you really enjoyed for another character, Harry Osborn, and that you were able to like build his story, I think it's pretty cool because I think if you're feeling that you want his story built, there's gonna be a lot of people out there who are gonna appreciate seeing more of him.
Yeah.
And they will. The
Yeah.
script like present that.
Yeah, I also agree because I know like you added scenes for Harry that weren't there in like the original drafts of
Mhm.
the script. And
Yeah.
like even when I was reading it, I was like, yes, like how is this not even here before? Like it makes so much sense to be here.
Yeah, to me, like I knew as I was writing a lot of Harry's scenes, it felt pretty self-indulgent just because I enjoy like writing him, and our actor Nathan is so brilliant. Um, but he's great.
Yeah. And I also just had like a quick question. So you mentioned that it was like pretty like daunting, I guess, to jump into these characters, but did you find it was a bit simpler to find their voice because they were already pre-established rather than like creating your own new characters?
I mean, no, not
Okay.
really. I guess because the depictions of the characters are so different, and
Mhm.
I wanted to find like what felt like, and I know Jonathan did too in his writing process, like what felt authentic and true to their core, and really preserve and then expand that instead of completely altering their personalities. And because there's so much source material to look at, sometimes there's a lot of gray areas. So you kind of got to pick and choose what works for
Hmm.
your world. Um, but yeah, I think it was definitely an interesting process to kind of compare the performances of them and really try to figure out what did they have in common.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I guess we touched on it a little bit, but what do you think will excite longtime fans and even new fans of Spider-Man about your film?
Yeah.
I think what's definitely going to be really exciting is that they get to see a whole new Spider-Man, a whole new suit, basically just like this different version. And I think that that's like something that represents itself so much in the comic books and in the shows and TV in the movies and the video games, where you get to see this new light shined upon this character, and that's always exciting to see. As for new fans, it gives them, I mean, Spider-Man is literally like he's who everyone can see themselves in. Bringing him to more of a ground level, version where you can see like the day to day struggles from a new light, or rather a more in depth light. I think is going to be really something special.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add? No.
I agree. I concur.
Yeah, I agree too. I also agree. I think it's super exciting.
Mhm.
Like I've told so many people about this film, and even people that don't know anything about Spider-Man are really excited and interested in it. So yeah.
I know. Okay, so to be honest, I've never really seen a Spider-Man movie. I'm working on it. I just got off a cruise where like Spider-Man was on it and I met him and I was like, okay, I gotta watch the movie. But
Wait, for Spider-Man.
I don't know. That's the problem because I don't know any of the universes.
Disney
I don't
cruise?
know what.
Was it a Disney cruise?
It was.
Okay, so you were meeting Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Okay, good thing I said that because otherwise I would have looked. But okay, so I was like, I met Tom Holland. But
I
um
thought you did, and I was like,
no.
Like the
But yeah. So I think this is really interesting because as someone who's like just getting into it, I feel like it's interesting to hear your perspective on it. And then when I go back and watch the films and then watch this film, it'll be interesting to see it all come together. And you're explaining it so well that even for someone who's like Harry Osborn, who's that? It is making sense. So I think that just shows that you have such a strong grasp on the content. Excuse me, which is awesome.
To add to that, I think that's part of the excitement in that you basically have like a really true feature film origin story where, like Emmy was saying, instead of 20-30 minutes being all that there is to establish the character and all of his conflicts, you now have a full feature length film to really like get to know the character and all the people around him. And it's written by people who care about the character and love the character and all of those characters that surround him. So yeah, for new people, I think it's going to be something great.
Yeah.
it's gonna be what?
something great.
What?
Wait,
Yeah.
so this might be a little bit harder, but we love a good challenge at App. So can you describe what the film means to you in 5 words? So like Emmy can have 5 words and then Ethan can have 5 words.
An opportunity to wait. um Opportunity to learn and grow.
Oh, okay.
That's a good one.
Mhm.
I fucking love Spider-Man.
Yeah, that also works.
Those are good. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that summarizes it.
That definitely does.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we saw you posted on your Instagram yesterday that you wrapped Act One. So can you talk a little bit about what stage of production you are at right now and when Act Two is shooting and anything that, could be interesting?
Mr. Producer.
Absolutely. So we're kind of treating this so not to give too much away. It follows along Peter's like year at school. Very classic. And so because of that, we're shooting it in basically 3 short films, essentially, where we're doing pre-production, production, and then pre-production, production, pre-production, production. So that's why it's a nice little wrap on Act One, where Act Two is going to be starting to film as of December and a little bit into January. And so we're technically in production, but we're more technically in pre-production.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how is shooting Act One? What's that been like?
Ooh, it's been a lot of things. I think it's been reassuring. Like that, I think that's a strange word to think, but taking on a project this big is definitely an intimidating task. And seeing it really come together like beyond pre-production and seeing the actors do the scenes and seeing takes of a shot and just being super proud of it is really really relieving, knowing that we're making something that we feel confident in and that we are going to be happy with the final product of. It's also just been it's been like a very chaotic busy like blast in general. Like it's jam packed and there's a lot of ground to cover, but I've loved every single moment of it.
Yeah, I mean, I also agree just from being there. I think something else that's really nice is that like the sense of community among the crew even that's been able to grow. Also because we get to like do it and then leave and then come back and like you're not just like saying goodbye. Everybody gets to see each other again and continue to work together and like the bond just grows stronger. And I
Mhm.
feel like there's such a sense of community on set and like support, especially for you while you're directing, and I think that's super nice to see.
Yeah, and I think it kind of feels like summer camp to me.
Yeah.
And especially like tackling a feature as like a 20-year-old woman is like an intimidating task, and seeing like people take that seriously and encourage it and support it is like so incredibly moving. Like the crew is just amazing. Like I gush about them all the time, but I literally love every single person on that set so much.
That's so nice to hear. I love when like a set is like a good place for people. So that's really, I like that you're working towards that. That's awesome.
What's been really exciting too, even though I joined a little bit later into production, um, but what like already since then I've seen the casting crew grow, and even just the alleyway shoot that we just did, um, the number of people that were part of the crew like has already grown, and much like you were saying, Noah.
Hmm.
And so it's been fascinating to see how like quickly people are willing to jump into this project just because of how invested they are in the character, and seeing what's going on with this production, and how they can help, and it's been fantastic that way.
Hmm. And also not even just for like crew and people, but even like the locations that you've asked to film at have been like pretty, willing to just give up their location for us to shoot at. And I think that's super cool.
Yeah, we've done some spots that have been in feature films. Um,
Hmm.
the people have been so accommodating who we've contacted with, and it's really cool to see people that work with industry professionals be so accommodating and willing to work on this project with us. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really exciting. And one thing that really intrigues me just about like films overall is the soundtrack and how they're created. So I was talking a bit about Noah about this, and I was just wondering how you plan on creating this soundtrack. Like what kind of music you're going for, if you have any idea yet, if you've even started, I don't know.
I'm really into music, so I have like an incredibly strong vision about what I want from this, and I can't reveal too much because there's some things that are under wraps in the work, but I can say that we definitely, well, I I definitely want kind of a like an alternative pop punk feel to it. Kind of like an homage to the early 2000s films where there's like some like Green Day-esque guitar while like a character scurries down the hallway, that kind of situation. So artists that have like even inspired like the script writing behind it in the process have been like Sonic Youth, The Killers, White Stripes, that kind of stuff.
On a similar note, something that fans can look out for in the meantime, is that we're having our actors, the main cast, come up with a playlist that represents their characters. And so while it's not exactly soundtrack, it's definitely like music related, and something that we think that, or we hope that people will appreciate. Just something fun.
Yeah, and as a at least in my experience as an actor, whenever I am playing a character, music is really important to my understanding of them. So I like to make two playlists, one that's music I think they would listen to, and then one is music that I think they would relate to the lyrics. And listening those while I get into character, while the makeup is done, the hair is done to really like kind of put that person on, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And I know a lot of actors that love doing that too. So I thought it'd be a really cool thing for us to share.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I'm excited to hear the soundtrack now.
So kind of looking at the production as a whole, can you tell us what the hardest and easiest part has been from a writing, directing, acting, and producing standpoint?
What's your biggest challenge? Nothing. He's just perfect.
He's Superman, actually.
Yeah.
Um, oh, that's such a good question.
I I'd say definitely I guess the hardest part has probably been like Peter Parker, the balance of the big identity that you're striving towards versus like your daily life. So
Hmm.
since this project is a student-led initiative and like a community oriented thing, a lot of us have families, friends, school, and it can be hard to struggle like to balance those things out. So that's definitely been a challenge, but it's one that I think is really important, especially for young filmmakers to figure out. So it's definitely been something that's been positive, and I think is helping a lot of us establish ourselves in finding security and comfort into what we want to do with our futures. And did you ask what the best part was too?
Yeah. Or like easiest.
The easiest part for me has been making friends.
Yeah, well,
Um,
that's so nice. Yeah.
yeah, it's been the people I've met. Entering set when you're meeting people in a context of a meeting, like, oh, you're going to join the crew, this is what we need, this is what we're interested in, figuring that out. There's always a little bit of like, oh, I hope we mesh on a personal level, so this whole production can
Hmm.
feel as comfortable for everyone as possible. And obviously before shooting the first chapter, part of me was like, oh, I really hope this goes well in the dynamic as well. So it was surprising how easily I think we all got comfortable with each other. And that was really rewarding to see that come to fruition.
Okay, so I do have something, but not for the first part, but for the second part. Because one thing that has been easy to a fault has been setting aside time to work on this project. It's like, I've noticed when I'm like sit down to do work, the first thing I'm thinking about is this project. The first thing I want to work on is this project. And
Mhm.
so that is something that is just such a great thing to have working on anything. And even though it means that I'll procrastinate other things to do this, I know that it means that, my heart's in it and I'm in the right place.
Yeah, it's nice that when the work is hard work, that it's something that you enjoy
Mhm.
for sure.
Hmm.
It's not a
Yeah.
burden. It's like a great opportunity for all of us, and we're just happy to be
Hmm. And it's the whole like I guess if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Like it honestly
there.
doesn't actually feel like work. It just feels like fun, you know? But yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I love about productions is getting to hear like all the behind the scenes moments and like any interesting stories. So can you share any can you share any fun behind the scenes moments with us?
um, okay. I have one that's a little strange. Last summer I watched the Challengers movie, and it was nice and it was good, and it re-altered my brain chemistry. Um, and I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Hmm.
But to anyone who's seen Challengers, we all know the dynamic between Art and Patrick and the love triangle we're in. And I thought that the actors had such great chemistry. But also just the banter was incredible, and they really did this incredible like dance between arguing and the playful teasing that you have with your best friend. So with Nathan and Jonathan, when we were talking about Harry, Peter, and MJ and that kind of dynamic, I had asked them to watch Challengers, and which is funny because Zendaya is MJ, um, and to just kind of take note of the comfort that these characters have with each other since they've known each other for such a long time. And we've got some really nice on-set photos back from an incredible photographer, and one of them is an exact like shot by shot replica of a scene from Challengers, and that was like unintentionally done. So that was pretty funny because there was a lot of jokes about that movie made on set. So then seeing like a direct comparison was a little strange.
Yeah.
That's
The
the tennis,
comparison is there. Sorry?
that's the tennis movie.
Yeah.
I'm so behind on movies. I gotta go watch.
You need to watch it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even reading the script, like I picked up on those vibes like immediately. I like that was one of the first things I asked you. I remember I was like, so does Harry have a thing for Peter? Like, am I reading this correctly?
Yeah, like I I don't necessarily know
Yeah.
about that. I think that's up to the audience's
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
of the characters. I'm totally not opposed to it. I
Hmm.
think
Like the undertones are there, like the
yeah, the
subtext.
undertones are
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
which could be nothing, but it's like I really like that like push and pull that they
Yeah.
have with each other, and that kind of like half of the time they're joking, but you don't really know if they're joking.
Hmm. Yeah. Ethan, do you have any fun behind the scenes moments that you want to share?
Yes.
Okay.
Um, I think something was that was really fun. Most recently was that we like questionable legality, but we used like a fire escape to shoot on. And so it was hella fun just like climbing that shit.
Yeah, like he sprung up there like Spider-Man.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And then
Yeah.
another one that's more personal was that I joined the project initially as an AD. Um, and the moment where um,
Me?
she told me that they wanted me as a producer was really something special.
Aw.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Ethan, I remember your first day on set, like you left and everybody was like, Ethan was amazing. Like we want him to be here
Yeah.
all the time. Sorry. No, I
Um,
swear to God. Yeah.
so this guy, he comes on the set, and we were like, come
No.
back. And we were like, okay, I'll be alone, fine. And we were like he was managing the extras because we had a lot of extras because we were
Mhm.
doing like scenes in lab classrooms in the hallway. We needed a lot
Wait,
of
wait,
people
this
there.
isn't the question.
No, but
This isn't this isn't
I'm answering this question, this concept. So I had to go get something, and I walk into the like agora where all of the extras are seated, and he's literally staging them like a play, having them read our script, and they're all like having an absolute blast. And literally at the end of the day, everyone was like, Ethan needs to be back. You gotta have him back. You gotta have him back.
Yeah.
I'll just
Yeah, he's hiding in a corner,
Don't
shaking.
hide. That's just like such a sweet little story. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
It also like solidifies my belief that everything happens for a reason because like you guys we were supposed to shoot in the summer and then got delayed
Yeah.
and like honestly I think it happened for the better that it got moved to
Yeah,
now.
I honestly feel so thankful
Yeah.
that the project, like the course of it, has run the way it is because I got to meet you guys, and that's great.
Yay.
Oh,
So something really exciting that did happen last summer was that you got to have a panel at Montreal Comic Con. Can you tell us what that experience was like?
it sucked. I wasn't there.
yeah, he wasn't invited. We didn't know him at the time. So it was great. It was definitely really intimidating. And when we found out that we would be hosting a panel, that was always kind of a little egotistical dream of mine to be on a stage at Comic Con. So that was it felt like a full circle moment for me. Like I felt reassured that I was on the right track. It was great. We met hundreds of fans and spoke to them about what they wanted to see, and really get to hear from them firsthand. And Montreal Comic Con also allowed us to meet a lot of comic book artists and actors that are now involved with the project. So, our actor Elias D'Onofrio, who's playing Flash Thompson, we got to meet him at the panel and get connected with him. And now we have this incredible actor, and he's absolutely brought new depth to the role, which is great. And then we also met Zeb Wells, who is responsible for writing a lot of the Spider-Man comic books and a lot of Marvel's comics. And he also recently has just been um, getting acclaimed for being one of the writers on Deadpool and Wolverine. So hearing his like seeing him come to the panel and talk to us about the film, and we send him copies of the script and say, what do you think about this, what do you think about this, and hearing his notes, it's really inspiring, but it's also amazing to talk to the people that are responsible for the material that we are researching directly. Um, so yeah, it was just a really cool experience
That we hope to
Yeah.
that we hope to
Yeah.
have.
have again.
Definitely. Fingers crossed. Any and all Comic Cons.
Yeah,
Um,
look out for other comments.
yeah, that's super exciting. And I love that that experience, introduced you to one of the actors and who also like doesn't even live in Montreal, like flies in to be in the film. And so I think that's just a testament to how much people really do care about this project. And also that you met Zeb Wells and that he gives like, advice and things like that. I mean, that's really amazing.
Yeah, it's useful, and
Yeah,
it's to see people connect with the project.
definitely.
It's really, really humbling.
Hmm.
Kind of along the lines of that Comic-Con conversation, how can fans of Spider-Man and people who are interested in your film contribute to this production?
Ooh. Follow along. We're gonna be posting way more on Instagram, TikTok, a little bit on Facebook, but primarily the first two, and then a little bit on YouTube as well. So definitely like follow us on all four of those. And then keep an eye out because we're gonna have a couple of events coming up. We have a Spider-Man trivia night that's going to be at Crossover Comic Books. That's December 9th at 6 p.m. So that's super exciting. And then we're going to have a little bit of like a couple of pop-ups here and there where you could take a picture with Spider-Man with his sick new suit. So keep posted for that. And then that's all going to come out at around the same time as our Kickstarter from December 1st to the 27th. So that's going to be definitely the big one. This is a big project, and big projects need funding, and that would be the way to do it.
I think it's really cool that you're doing like the fundraising for it because I think that's even more of a testament to how passionate about it you are because that's not easy. And to like have to get out there and really think of ways to fundraise. You have to be a whole other level of creative because it's like money creativity too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely a full-time job, but I think another thing is whenever we do receive contributions, it's really nice to see that we're making something that fans are interested in and that feel is worth investing in. So it's a whole other challenge, but it brings a whole other level of like gratitude to the project.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So, Noah, if you want to take this one.
Sure. So that concludes the main portion of questions, but now on Entertainment Roadmap, we like to do a little hot seat round. So
Mhm.
are you ready to sit in the hot seat?
Let's
Yes,
do it.
my
Okay.
seat is.
So, who is your favorite Spider-Man?
Spectacular. The
Okay.
show, Spectacular Spider-Man. He's the fucking best.
Oh, you took my answer.
You can have the same answer.
Oh, there's Spectacular Spider-Man. There's Yuri Lowenthal Spider-Man in the video game. It's incredible. Like just some incredible acting done in that. And my personal favorite is Andrew Garfield.
Me
For
too.
reasons I'll not discuss.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite quote from any version of Spider-Man?
Yes.
Okay.
Time.
Yes.
It's pizza time.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
um, I'll pay your rent when you fix this damn door.
Shout out Tobey Maguire.
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye. Uh, like not a line, but when Harry Osborn winks at Peter and then disappears behind a bus.
Also,
Anything in Spider-Man 3.
definitely shocker.
Yeah.
I'm gonna chase you down to the ends of the earth.
Those are great.
Yeah, it's like an old cartoon and he's like absolutely tweaking out.
That's from the 90s one,
Yeah.
which is actually fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he gets very mad.
Yeah. Spectacular is still the best, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Spectacular Spider-Man has been a huge inspiration behind the project. Probably the number one like Spider-Man source that we were referencing for the tone of our film.
So, would you rather be Spider-Man or be saved by Spider-Man?
Be Spider-Man.
Well, I'm gonna I'm gonna be Spider-Man because being saved by Spider-Man implies danger. And
That's
you know,
true.
I would love to be swung around by Andrew Garfield, but that implies getting kidnapped or held at gunpoint. And me personally, I would not let that slide. So
Yeah. I mean, at least you are MJ, so you kind of get to be saved by Spider-Man-ish. Yeah, kind
kind
of.
of depends. Yeah, she
Yeah.
carries a gun in a lot of the comics.
hmm
I respect that.
Yeah. She doesn't need a Spider-Man to save her. No.
Yeah, she's a girl boss.
So, comic books or movies?
Movies.
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 Okay.
Not for like for me it's like there's a lot more meat in the comic books. There's a lot more character in the comic books. But Spider-Man has always been a character that I've fallen in love with on the screen. Seeing him be real and come to life that way, it always just hits home.
Yeah, I think the comics are sometimes more useful in the sense of researching and really like uncovering all of the depth. But I will always be a filmmaker, and that's where I'm at. So I just connect to the films I find more. And I love seeing it on screen.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so last, we changed this a little bit, but marry, kiss, or friend, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, or Tom Holland?
Oh, you can't say the bad words, I see.
He's
Go.
Me first?
Yeah, Mary Kiss Her Friend.
Okay. I'd marry Tom Holland.
my husband, so you're stealing.
Um, I'd kiss Tobey Maguire because I feel like that's the end of the interaction I'd want with Tobey Maguire. Love him, but that's enough for me. And then friend Andrew Garfield because I feel like he'd be the coolest friend ever.
hmm
So it's friend,
It's friend,
Mary.
marry.
Yes. Okay, just solidifying that.
We're not killing anyone, and we're not doing the other thing.
Okay. I'm gonna marry Andrew Garfield
Why?
hmm
because it would be a good marriage. Um, I think we're so compatible. No, he's just cool. He's Andrew Garfield Spider-Man is so funny.
hmm
And that's important to me. So
You know,
laughing.
the
Yeah,
first,
laughing for the rest of my life sounds good.
the first Spider-Man movie I saw was with Andrew Garfield. So when Tom Holland's came out, I was so confused.
That's super.
Like, wasn't he so young in like 2012 when I saw the movie? How is he dating Zendaya? And then I was like,
Mm,
different.
Yeah, for me it was the Tobey movies that were like my first introduction to Spider-Man. And then I skipped past the Andrew ones for some reason. And then I saw like Homecoming when it came out, and I was like, oh, Tom Holland. And then I watched the Andrew Garfield ones, and that solidified things for me. That was my husband. I'm going to friend. Because okay, your logic is good. Because I would kiss Toby, and that would be the end of the interaction. Because Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man's a little bit angry sometimes, and I don't know if that's what I would want in a friend. So I'm gonna okay, I'll friend Tobey Maguire, and I'll teach him to handle his anger, and I'll kiss Tom Holland
I
because
mean, who wouldn't? Who would?
I'm playing MJ. So
Yeah.
it's like it's
Mhm.
it's gonna happen.
I like the incredibly like logical and thought out responses from both of you about
Yeah,
this.
no, I care about this, and sorry, Zendaya. I'm sorry, Zendaya.
That's okay. So that concludes the hot seat round. So thank you guys so much for joining us on the podcast. We had a really great time, talking to you all about the outstanding Spider-Man. And we hope that, when the film comes out, we get to talk to you guys again and maybe even with the actors to, learn more about the film.
absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you so much for having
Great.
me.
Oh, sorry. It was great meeting you guys. You both. You're
Yeah,
amazing. Can't wait to see everything.
thank you so much.
Nice meeting you too.